This is Colin Wood for AutoGuide.com. We're here this week testing Kia's new Forte Koup. Only recently, last year, Kia came up with a Forte sedan, sort of a competitor to the Honda Civics and Toyota Corollas of the world. This year, Kia has the Koup version of that car, aimed at younger buyers, males predominantly. Now, in the past, Kias have been mostly forgettable vehicles, but they're trying to change all that. For starters, it's got the style. It's got short overhangs, an aggressive look, big black air intake area in the front. It's got a really aggressive rear end as well with a nice diffuser. So along with all this, they've also got some new engines that they're using. There's a 2-liter engine in the base model, which is pretty good and gets about 150-ish horsepower. But the real kicker is the one in this model. It's the SX model, comes with a 2.4-liter with 173 horsepower. Now that's not rocket ship fast. This car does move and is a very attractive option to a lot of young male buyers. Now, the Koup's interior is mostly the same as the Forte sedan. Generally, it's pretty well designed and put together, and even the knobs and buttons have a quality feel when you push or turn them. We particularly like the sporty red gauges. The only thing that does cheapen the overall look is how monochromatic the whole thing is. It's black everywhere. Our tester did come fully optioned out, including a sunroof and leather seats. We were surprised to see the red stitching on the steering wheel and seats. It's just not something you expect on a car for this price. We also like the metal pedals, which are standard on the SX trim. Perhaps the most surprising is that there's actually decent rear legroom in the back for 2 adults. The car has also got a pretty dynamic driving experience. The steering is actually pretty tight, as are the pedals and the brakes. The Forte Koup is also pretty competitive when it comes to fuel economy. The base 2-liter engine gets a rating of 25 miles per gallon in the city and 34 on the highway, thanks to either a 5-speed manual transmission or, sadly, just a 4-speed automatic. Although if you opt for the 2.4-liter engine, there is actually an optional 5-speed automatic, and it comes standard with a 6-speed manual, which is pretty cool. And on that larger engine, the rating is 23 miles per gallon on the city and 31 on the highway. Helping to achieve those fuel economy numbers, Kia has equipped the car with an eco driving mode. It's accessible on the dash through the trip button, and essentially what it does is it activates an eco mode for the ECU, which allows the automatic transmission to shift earlier, keeping you in a higher gear. It's also nice because you can turn it off, which gives you a more performance-oriented driving experience, which really goes with this car's overall feel. So a couple of things we don't like about the new Kia Forte Koup. For starters, it's the rear suspension. It's only a semi-independent unit, and it's still pretty harsh, and you really feel that while the front suspension soaks up a lot of the bumps, it all translates through to the back of the car and feels pretty unsettled. We don't dislike it as much as we did in the sedan version of the car, just because the Koup, maybe it's being sporty, it just doesn't seem to affect it as much, or you don't mind it as much, but it just doesn't seem quite as bad in this version. Something that we don't like in the Koup that we didn't have any problem with in the sedan is the headroom. I don't know if it's taller seats or if it's because of the lower roofline. It's definitely very little room here. I suggest that anybody 6 feet tall or over doesn't opt for the optional sunroof. And finally, those wheels. They do suit the overall look of the car, but we think they could do better, and it just looks a bit too boy racer, even though this car is meant for that demographic. Now, what we do like about the car, we've pretty much already discussed here. There's the great look. It's got a great design to it. We also really like the power, especially on this SX model. And finally, the steering response and the overall driving feel. It's very dynamic. You feel really involved. The steering's heavy and weighted, and overall, it's a lot of fun to drive this new car. A final and important point about Kia's new Forte Koup is that the car really doesn't have any competition, which is great if you're Kia. Sure, there are a lot of other sport compact performers out there on the market, like the Honda Civic Si or Mazda Speed 3, but along with making a lot more horsepower than the Forte Koup, they also cost a lot more. So that's one of the great things the Kia Forte Koup has going for it. It starts at just $16,595, and more high-end models with all the extra power like this one start at $17,695. The Forte Koup then is a great budget alternative for people who are looking for a performance front-wheel drive package but don't have a ton of money to spend. And for more AutoGuide reviews, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.